Okay, another of many attempts, maybe, often, hopefully not, um, to make this video. Actually, should be fucked, y'all. And there we go. A bit more there. Okay, that should be right. So today I wanted to talk about the introduction of how to fold any kind of quadruped, so four-legged animal with a head and a tail that you want to make. And the idea is, everybody knows the crane, which has this kind of base, the bird base, some even say the crane base, which makes four limbs, down here two, and up here two. But now we need 6. And we can still use the crane base for that, we just need more than 1. We need possibly 4. That's easy, just arrange them in another square and there you go. And that creates this kind of base, which is, well, a bit more complicated than necessary. It has like 1, 2, 3, well, do we count the small ones? 1, 2, 3, and another 6. And 3 plus 6, that's 9. Quick maths. That's a bit too much. So, how do we get 6? Well, we just use, let's just these 2 of these. And we could just arrange them like this, again, as the corners of a square, and then just kind of make this part disappear. So it goes to the inside, and then we have 6 limbs. But then actually, this distance is too much. It's wasted. You're basically just wasting shit tons of paper, and you're also creating another peak in the middle here, which you don't need. So instead, we are kind of overlaying them a little bit in a way so that this distance is the same as this distance. So a bit less. There. So that in the end we just get clean legs out of this. And how do we do that? Well, that's we covered in my example of one quadruped, which is a cat. Alright, that's been a long break. Took me a while to get here. Now, I'm using A3 paper now, so just so you can see it better. You can do this with A4 paper. It's going to be a bit harder to make all the details, but yeah, I'm just using some bigger paper here. Now, as you can see, I already started with the diagonal. Just do that, do the other one. Quite simple. And now we want to get the proportions. So let's say this edge here is a little bit bad, so I want to make this the tail. So I'm going to make this the head. So I'm just going to start not quite folding this edge to the center here. Not quite. So I'm going to fold the tip here, because that's going to be folded anyway. And then I'm just going here. Make a little mark on this side. Now we're going to fold from this mark perpendicularly to the side up to the second diagonal and mirror that this way. So find the mark, here it is. Try to be somewhat precise. And up until here. Here, first diagonal, second one. And now we could just kind of eyeball it to mirror it here, or bring this part up. So just invert this crease until here. And now just do that. Just make sure everything lies flat. And that makes it really easy to chase this. Now if you open this up again, there you see we have this square here that's a little bit larger than going onto the middle. And now we want to mirror this onto this side. And to do that, we're going to use the fact that it's going to have to go through here as well. So we try to get this corner here, fold through there, and get it perpendicular here to the side. And yet again, go to the second diagonal, not further. And mirror this by raising this up and making sure everything's flat. And now we kind of missed this corner here, but it shouldn't be an issue. I say shouldn't, but maybe it is. We'll see. Alright, okay, it's not exact here. It's also not exact there. Well, shouldn't matter too much. Maybe it'll get a little bit messy around there, but whatever. Now, the next part, there's two ways to fold it, and I'm going to show you both ways. Just fold the tip to this corner, so basically just stay inside the square we just made. And now the first way is where you start with this and then fold it in half. And now we just raise this up here along the creases we already made. Make sure this part here stays together. So it likes to slip. Just make sure everything remains on top of each other. Now we're making a petal fold here, so you don't have to go all the way to the outside here. Like you don't have to chase this crease all the way onto these corners, because they're not going to be there. We're just going to raise this up. It's also not bad if you do it, but I like to just kind of stay free in my shaping in this stage. So to the center here, and to the tip in the middle here. There. Same thing on this side, bring it to the center. There we go. And now these lines will be here anyway, but they're already in the right direction. Fold it up, and there we go. Now open this carefully, carefully. My God, there, okay. And close it again. Now we're gonna close this part exactly the way we folded it. Oops, let's watch this tip. There. And this part is going to have to be inverted. So it's basically been pre-creased. We're going to use all the same creases, but turn them all the other way. So this one, and just the usual petal fold. Everybody who's ever folded a crane knows how to do this. Here, make sure reversing the creases goes well all the way to the tips, because it tends to kind of get messy up there. And here. And there we go. That's one side done. Now on the other side, I'm going to show you a different way to fold this. First, just unfold this part. You can unfold this part too or not, doesn't really matter. You can fold this down. Just make sure that this part is flat. And now instead of opening this up and then folding this to this corner, we're just going to go straight from here. So this should stay inside this crease that we already made. And now I'm just going to fold this directly, like on top here. Just squash fold this. Again, you can go all the way into the corners, you don't have to. I can do it here. And petal fold this. And again, there are ways to pre-crease this, but I like to freely shape it so that all my creases actually go into the corners, regardless of how thick my paper is. Because this is kind of thick paper, you know, printer paper, A3, quite thick. Which goes to show that this model, or rather, to the detail that we're going to go to, can be folded out of pretty much any kind of paper, as long as it's stable enough. And there we go. Now, for this part, for the inside part, which before we were kind of folding directly on this side, it's gonna be a little bit tricky. So, as you can see here, I just took this part, raised it up. Now we want this to open up kind of organically, so we're gonna kind of force it into shape. So I'm gonna go to the inside here and kind of make it open up. Press gently with my thumb here. And just gently, ever so gently, press this into shape. Ever so gently form this tip and bring this tip ever so gently to the center there. Make sure my creases arrive at this tip down here. And there we go. Now I just actually crease in the end. And if you're used to this and you practice this, oops, there. Okay, excuse me for my shitty phone fucking this up. Okay, so what I was about to say, if you get used to this, it's a nice way to save time. So now we just bring these two together, opening this up a little, and yeah, now this little issue is going to come into play that I mentioned earlier from folding this inaccurately, that here, it's, yeah, they're not really going to meet up, but shit happens, and we just got to deal with that. So these diagonals here need to go the other way. So we're going to bring them to the outside. And now just force this to get shut. There. So as you can see, the inaccuracy didn't really matter. Now these two gotta disappear now. If you have two colored paper, then the way you make these disappear will matter. If you don't, like if you just have white paper like me, it doesn't matter. So I could theoretically just fold it up like this. This would be the other color. If you want to avoid that showing, just fold it to the inside, which is a little bit harder, but yeah, still not very hard. So just fold it in like this. Of course, maybe you want it to show there for whatever reason, like for whatever kind of like model you're making. Here. And just close it up. It's a bit messy on mine now, probably because, yeah, kind of missed the proportions, but it works. And now this flap, of course, also needs to disappear. So just open this up and fold it like another petal fold, just to the center here. And it's alright. Doesn't look so nice here now, whatever. And same thing on this side. So, to avoid color changes, fold it to the inside. That's a bit far. Alright. Just gonna make this happen. Force the paper. And open it up. There. Not the most beautiful tips, but, well, can't help it. And now, let's see, which one was supposed to be the tail? This one is supposed to be the tail, and this one's supposed to be the head. Now, as you can see here, we have 6 large limbs, and these 3 unimportant flaps in the middle. Now we just split these 3 left, 3 right, or 3 up, 3 down. And on the other side here, if this is the tail part, I'm going to fold the big one to the tail side and the small one to the head side. And now already comes, one of the most difficult creases in this origami. First let's flatten this. And now this little tip folded right to the center. And now we want to create more space to fold the head. Now to do that, we kind of need it to be pulled out. And that creates a lot of little creases in these sides. Or rather, it's supposed to create a lot of little creases in these sides. And instead of just pulling this, which has like a 50% chance of working out, or less, I'm going to try to support it. So I'm going to fold little pre-creases here. So this line that we already have and this line, we're going to make them meet. Like this. And the same thing with this line. Or actually, we're not even going to make them meet. Just fold it like this a little. It shouldn't come very far over this line. About like this. And same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to put this back where it was. And try to support the crease on this side as well. So first, we bring out this little diagonal here. Make these 2 meet. And then kind of go in here. And make this go not so much further than the middle here. Alright, and now doing this, holding this tip shut and pulling this out should give us a very clean elongation. Should make it longer. Like this. And that's pretty nice. Like you can just feel here in the middle if anything gets like really thick or if this gets messed up, then you kind of, well, fucked it up. But yeah, this is how it's supposed to go. very hard crease. I'm just gonna fold this tip forward now, so it's kind of not so much in the center, because there's gonna be a lot of layers in the center here. Now next, this big flap, just fold this quite far back, like as a little reference line. You can use the crease here. And make sure everything kind of stays together. And yeah, this is thick. Like, especially with my thick paper, this is very thick. And this one has to go over there as well. It doesn't have to like completely hug these layers. It can be like a little off. Like, it doesn't even have to be a straight crease here. If we are gonna, like next, we're gonna close this up. This little triangle, it can go forward a little. Doesn't have to be absolutely straight. Now be careful that this doesn't tear. So just gently press this together. There we go. And there it is. Now that went rather well, I'd say. Bit asymmetrical, but well, nature isn't symmetrical either. Lame excuse, I know. Now, the front leg, well, technically it doesn't have to be folded back, but just for visual sake, I'm going to fold the front leg here back. And now, focus on this crease. We're going to fold this to this as a pre-crease. Make sure it stays together here, so that this goes straight up. Alright, straight up. Now, there's a little gap here between these two creases. If you don't have a gap there, then you did it wrong. Like this, like so. Alright. And now, just make a simple outside reverse fold. You don't have to do it layer by layer. You can just take the whole thing, fold it up. Now I've been experimenting with this a lot to just kind of show you a very simple way to fold a head for this. This one is a little bit too short. Kind of held back by all the layers. There. Now it's great. Alright. Now the next part might be a little confusing. Instead of, you know, usually with the head you're going forward, we're going backwards. So let's pre-crease this and go backwards. We're going to see why in a moment. And just inside reverse fold it. Now what this accomplished is that there's a flat line down here, there's nothing in the middle coming upwards, and we have these two flaps which are going to become the ears. Now for the front part we want this to kind of disappear to the inside, so take this tip, fold it to this little middle part here. Now I just press this together as you do so. There's a lot inside there. A lot of paper, kind of hard. But all these layers are now gonna be folded, well, sink folded around. We can also fold this to the other side to prepare for the sink fold. So just gonna fold this back too, even though it technically doesn't have to be folded back. And there. Now from the front, just open this up. See this trapezoid here? Is it called trapezoid? Whatever. And just fold these corners. As you can see here, this tip is kind of getting in the way. I felt that there. Just fold that in. Make this part come down and this part come down as well. There. And yeah, there we go, it's gone. Now we have a nice, quite slender neck. And now we just make this part, which is going to be the main part of the head, come back forward. So just in this diamond shape, forward like this. Now for the head, this would be a little bit, small. But we have more layers to play with here, like these two. We can pull these out a little, and to do that we need more space. So we can't just pull them out from here, we need to also pull them out of the inside here. So I'm gonna pull from the inside here. Now that I have more space from the inside, I can go like this. Kinda tricky, but yeah, not that hard actually. And it's just arbitrarily far, like about this far. And you can do the same thing on the other side, of course. Should. Pull this out a little. It gets a little messy in the middle here, but yeah, that's not the focus. So it doesn't really matter if it gets a little messy there. Now we just close this up. And as you can see, we have a larger area for the head now. It's going to be two-dimensional. It's kind of hard to make three-dimensional heads and make them look good. So for this tutorial, for the sake of just showing you one way to make a cat head, I chose this. Of course, I always encourage people to figure this out on their own, experiment, and kind of find out which way they want to fold this. Now next, easy way to remember this is just fold this tip inside reversed to the tip of the ears. Like so. Make sure it doesn't do things it's not supposed to do. And now, from the front, open this up and fold a straight line back down here between the two corners we just made. Now this looks really awkward, doesn't it? So this little tip down here, just fold this up so that you make like a little straight line from here and come out a bit like this. And let's pre-crease again, just inside reverse fold this. And now we can make a little snout by a little outside reverse fold here. There. And that's about it for the face. You can get into more detail if you have larger paper or thinner paper for that. But yeah, I'm just going to leave it like this. You can, of course, shape the head a little bit more. I went quite far here to the outside. You can crease the top part here to the inside a little. Create a little bit of a nicer shape as you like. So I'm just going to do that here. Again, there's no reference for this, just shape it the way you think looks good. Like you can also you can make a dog instead of a cat by just making the snout longer or whatever. Now for the ears, we're actually going to use the rabbit ear fold. Just like arbitrarily come forward here. And yeah, on the head. Maybe don't go too far forward. It's a bit thick, but well, happens. And now, these aren't the most beautiful looking ears. You can invest some time in shaping them, but just for simplicity's sake, there we have ears. on both sides, of course. Just kind of going in here, pressing this together. It actually kind of looks better if you don't fold it exactly, because you know ears aren't usually all that pointy. And yeah, you can get into shaping, of course. You can just introduce all kinds of little backwards and forwards folds to make this look more like an actual cat ear. But yeah, for now, let's just leave it as this. Now, front legs back forward. And again, I would just say, fold the front legs and all the legs any way you like. So, for example, you can just fold them straight down, like this. Not any kind of reverse fold, you know, just take them down. And make them a little thinner, you know, make this corner here disappear. Bit thick again. But yeah, there we go. Now it's thinner. Can do that on the other side as well. But I'm just going to skip that, just so I'm not showing everything twice for no reason. Now what I like to do here is, I have this straight edge here, and I just fold kind of perpendicularly, or fold a little triangle in here. Just press this in, and then I kind of make a new crease, meet it in the middle, making the front leg, the front part of the front leg a little thinner again, like this. That's just another crease. You just kind of practice and you pick up. You can fold this one by one or not, and then just make any kind of paw, or like don't make a paw at all if you don't like to get into too much detail. I can also just pull this out a little. Here my paper got a little bit messy. Well, happens. Now one kind of paw that I like to make is do the same thing again in the front here. Can press this flat and then spread the layers, which are now like they're really messy. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. And the leg and the back, for that, you know, again, just fold it whichever way you feel fit. Like for the forward, arbitrarily, like somewhere here. Then maybe inside reverse fold it backwards. Like pick the thick layer and the two thin layers. Actually, that might have been the wrong one. Oh. Here. Yeah, now that's symmetrical. And just pull this until you're like satisfied with the shape. Maybe like this, yeah, why not? And then inside reverse fold it back forward. Oh, I hate this, wow. Fold it further in here, pull it a little, or pull it a lot. And bring it forward, pull, there. And there we have nice little legs. Of course, there's a myriad of ways to do this, also to be found in other tutorials, because everybody just has triangular flaps usually. And now for the tail, what I like to do, we already have enough space cleared here, hopefully. So I'm just gonna fold it in half, almost to the tip here. Just gonna leave a little gap so it doesn't get super pointy, because it's not like lizard tail, it's a cat tail, it's not supposed to be pointy. And same thing on this side. So folding it to the center, almost to the tip, not quite. And then I turn this one downwards. Let's get this out of the way. And just press it in as far as it goes. Here. Now I can make a little inside reverse fold here. These are nice because they create not a corner here, but a soft kind of round shape. Looks nicer. And you can even fold these to the outside to make it look more separate from the main body, even though it's getting really thick on mine here. Alright, and make the tip back here disappear. Now there's a nice cat tail. And yeah, just do the other side accordingly, whichever way you like. You don't even have to make it symmetrical. And there is your cat, or whatever kind of quadruped you choose to make this. That's it for this tutorial, and see you next time.